Hello guys and welcome to my newest video. Today we're gonna would review a Lilia game. This is a master tier game, I believe. I'm gonna show you how you can balance farming and ganking at the same time. I know this is a topic which is hard to understand and people struggle with this a lot to find the right balance between ganking and farming, and I hope that this video will actually help you find the right balance. On top of that, Lilia is an amazing jungler, not just right now but overall. And if you want to find an AP jungler who is amazing to carry at pretty much every rank, then Lilia is your best bet. And I will show you how you can play her and how you can perform on her in pretty much every game and carry consistently. Let's watch the gameplay and see what's going on. So the blue side team, Master Yi, is actually invading. At least he was invading with the rest of the team, and the red side team wanted to invade as well. And because of that, you're gonna see something common, which is trading sides, trading quadrants. And I know for a fact that so many people are struggling to adapt and make an impact after something similar happens, because then they cannot farm their own quadrant anymore, like the top quadrant is gone, and they are struggling to actually make an impact afterwards because the early game plan is screwed. They cannot gank bot lane anymore or cannot play for bot lane anymore. They cannot start top to bottom, which is a usual really standard jungle path. Their whole early game plan is pretty much gone and they have to come up with a new one. And this time around, I'm gonna help you with that. In the meantime, Camille with 6 CS actually killed Car to stop, and then Master Yi actually decided to dive her, which is expected. Whenever you are in a split map scenario like this one, that you are forced to farm your bot side quadrant and the enemy bot side quadrant. Meanwhile, the enemy jungler is taking his top side quadrant and your top side quadrant. You are in this split map scenario, and this makes your side laner vulnerable to any ganks, to dives as well. So in this case, if you are Lilia, you don't have to worry too much about top lane besides pinging him about the situation, which he should be aware of. But obviously at the lower ranks that won't be the case. Same thing goes for Master Yi. He should be pinging his bot lane that, okay guys, do not play too aggressively because Lilia should be around and she might be able to make a play, and you definitely don't want that as Master Yi. Unfortunately, Camille was low on HP, so she died. Whatever, we don't care. After all, our strong side still will be bot lane. But we will see how this game goes, and we might have to adapt and actually play with top lane. Who knows, right? You never know when your bot lane will start hinting, despite you trying to make them your strong side and trying to make them your win condition. It's solo queue, things can change and your bot lane might be hinting, you never know. As Lilia, let's say you have a standard game and there's no invade, there is no such a fiesta early on that you are invading, the enemy team is invading. What should be your early game plan as Lilia, and where should you start on Lilia? It's really standard, and I always recommend this, that in season 15, the easiest game plan you can have is to start on top side and then look to path towards your bot side. And you can follow this role pretty much every game. It's really uncommon that your top laner will be your win condition. Most of the time, a stronger bot lane will have a bigger impact than a strong top laner. Sure, that might not be always the case, but like I said, in general, you will look to path towards bot lane as someone like Lilia. And even though we are pathing towards bot lane and bot lane is our strong side, doesn't mean we cannot impact our top lane and cannot gank her, cannot gank Camille in this case, and help her out if it's possible. If she falls too far behind, then of course we want to ignore it, because we are not gonna play with weak laners. This is a huge misconception, that you want to actually help and try to make a comeback for your laner and give them gold, give them ganks when they fall behind. Sure, at this point, Camille is only 1 and 2, and she actually solo killed Cartus once, so far she's pretty even, and she only died for the second time because of Master Yi. So top lane is not over at this stage, and bot lane is even so far, so is mid lane. Or mid lane we have a good gank setup as well, and you have to consider that as well, how good of a gank setup you might have. But in general, you will want to start on your top side with Lilia, and if you start on your top quadrant like in this game, how you would have started with Lilia, this is Lilia specific thing, you want to start on your raptors instead of your red buff. Because of your Q, you're gonna have a way easier time to clear the raptors first, get to level 2, and once you hit level 2, then you're gonna have an easier time killing your level 1 red buff. It will make your clear slightly faster, that way it will be more efficient. In that case, you want to save your smite as well for your red buff, so you would smite the red buff no matter what. If you start on blue, because that's your top quadrant, if you would be on the opposite side, on the blue side of the map, then you want to start with your blue buff, smite the blue, and then go for the gromp. So same thing, small difference is that if you start on the red quadrant, you want to start with your raptors, and then go into your red buff, and then Krugs, and then go all the way down. But let's keep going with the game and see what's going on. In terms of setup and vulnerability, bot lane is definitely solid. We have Aslo, we have Braum, Ash Braum, typical huge bot lane synergy. They have great gank setup, and the same goes for Lissandra. But whenever you have something like Lissandra, you also have to consider who is her opponent. So despite you having a huge amount of CC and a huge amount of setup from your laner, you have to consider that she is facing Galio. So killing Galio over and over again doesn't make too much sense, because Galio still will be useful later on with all his CC and ult and etc. Like, he will be tanky no matter what, so it's not really necessary to put him behind. So Lilia finished her full clear. Let's just say that she full cleared top to bottom. She almost achieved the same thing, but instead she obviously started on Master Yi's red quadrant, because Master Yi was invading her top quadrant. As she is low on HP and really wants to recall, this wave will push towards the red side. So do we look to gank this, or what do we do as a jungler when this happens? Because it's very common that your laner might look to recall by the time you finish your full clear, or worst case, they even die before you finish your full clear. Braum is already on base, enemy bot lane is super healthy, your AD carry is low on HP, so you always go for the scatter grab. Go for the scatter grab, wait for your laners to actually reset, and if they are able to get back in time to bot lane, then sure, you can make a play. If for some reason the bot lane stays, if not, then just leave them, it's whatever. Next important timer is at 4 minutes, and at 4 minutes our raptors, or more like in this case, any raptors will respawn. And they are respawning like around 15 seconds sooner, only because we started on the raptors level 1. Right, so you have to keep that in mind. If you start on your raptors, instead of the usual 4 minutes 15, it's gonna spawn at 4 minutes. So next, we are pretty much just doing our second sequence, and we are looking to get these camps as well, which is generally a good idea, or I mean the right move, even if you would be, let's say, after you got the scuttle, let's say if this would be a normal game and you could have started on top side and then get the bot scuttle and then move mid it would be totally fine after the mid play to go into your raptors and get the raptors. Sure, you would have to wait a few seconds, but it would spawn in just a few seconds, right? I know that I always tell this, that you should look to recall around 900 gold on AP junglers, or at like 1200-ish gold. You should look to recall. And you should look to recall because at that point, you can buy a Dark Seal as well and Amplifying Tome as well. And that is a massive spike and the best buy an AP jungler can get. Amplifying Tome and Dark Seal, which is huge. After the Scuttle and after ganking mid, getting the Raptors and then getting the Krugs as well would guarantee us that we have enough gold for that massive buy. Even though I don't necessarily think that this is a great gank, like sure we are poking Galio a little bit, but we have nothing else to do really, and because we are waiting for our Raptors, this play is fine. Otherwise I wouldn't really go for it. But now we have to consider that because Master Yi actually recalled and he cleared his war quadrant. Now he has tempo and now he has 2 kills. He already spent his gold. So now, because he will be on bot side, now our bot side is actually really vulnerable. And if we are playing a different jungler, not Lilia, because in her case it's totally fine if we would be playing someone else, like let's say Jarvan, or we would be playing any jungler really who is not a true farming jungler and they prefer ganking more, then you actually would want to recall after this gank on mid lane because the enemy jungler will be on bot side and we can counter a potential dive or a potential gank on the bot lane. Because if we recall right now and spend our gold at 4 minutes 40, sure, recall will take 8 seconds and then in 3 seconds we're gonna be able to get our items and already leave the base. By 4 minutes 50, we would be already walking towards bot lane. So if there's a play around 5 minutes 20-ish, we're gonna be able to get here in time and make a play and clean up. But if we go for this route, that we're gonna take Raptors and gonna take Krugs as well, then that play is done. It's not possible anymore, and we have to accept that our bot lane might die. But in Lilia's case, this is totally fine because we are a selfish jungler and we can play for farm, we can play for ourselves, and then carry later on when we get to 1 to 2 items. And when the team fighting stage comes, then that's when we can actually make an impact. So let's see what Lilia is doing. I assume that she will look to get her items soon after the Krugs, because after the Krugs she's gonna have enough, and in the meantime bot lane is fighting. And as a jungler it's super important. I was coaching people recently and even in Diamond people are not pinging enough, and please, for God's sake, ping your laners. I know it might not always do much, but when it does, it's super helpful and it can prevent your laners from dying. Just keep pinging where the enemy jungler is. And jungler tracking is super easy. Like in this game, Master Yi started on your top side, you started on his bottom side. So after his bot side, the only option was to get his other top side, right? And after that, he had to recall. So your top side is gone, his top side is gone. Meanwhile, his bot side should be up. So he will be on bot side. And then from there, his only option really is to gank your bot lane, gank your mid lane, get his raptors if the raptors is up. Sure, we know for a fact that we took his raptors, but let's say we didn't invade him for the second time and raptors are up, then he's taking his raptors, so our mid laner is in a vulnerable position. Same goes for our bot lane. So you want to spam ping them, tell them where the enemy jungler is. If they listen, it's good. They survive. Super good. If not, then whatever. At least you did your best. Like, while you are farming your own camps, you really don't have to focus your camera on the Krugs when your Q is on cooldown. And look, now they just gonna die. And this is what I even predicted this already. Like, it's super easy to predict because I know what the enemy jungler does and I know what I do, right? We had the exactly same jungler path. So imagine if we would have been ganking top. Like, this is what Mastery is doing right now. After Krugs, if we would gank top lane, we would do the same, exactly same jungle path what Mastery is doing. That's the most obvious play, and people more often than not will go for the most obvious plays. If they see a free target in front of them, then they're gonna pull that play no matter what. It doesn't matter how good that play is or how bad that play might be, they still gonna go for it because that's how league players play and that's how most people's brain work. They just go for the play because they see a play in front of them. They never think about the situation more deeply, that what if that's just a bait, and what if there's gonna be 5 people there. Lilia has the right approach. This is again a common question as well. Should you gank or should you stay on your Gromp? And the answer is simple. If there's a play going on, then leave your Gromp. Same goes for your Raptors, same goes for your Wolves, same goes for your Krugs as well. Doesn't matter on which jungle camp you are. If there's a play to which you can arrive in time, then just go for that play. If you cannot, then don't go for it, obviously. Then just keep farming because that's guaranteed gold and you want to take the guaranteed gold, especially on someone like Lilia, who is a super selfish jungler. After you solve the card to suit, then you can walk back and get your camp. But obviously Lilia had the right idea, had the right mindset, and you want to look for these type of plays if it's possible. You don't have to force anything, but you have to look for these type of plays. But Lilia is taxing bot wave. This wasn't necessary at all. Was very toxic. And if your laner decides to rage quit up to this, then they have the rights. So these are the reasons why people hate junglers. So I highly recommend for you guys that you don't do such a things. Here, the mid gank, I generally don't like this. Like, this gank is just super bad. Galio is super healthy. At this point, we can expect that Mastery is actually gonna be on Void Crabs. Simply because he ganked bot lane, he died. He had to take his bot side camps, right? So after that, his only option is to go to his top side, but his top side camp shouldn't be up yet, and because of that his options are the following: gank top lane, but that's not really possible because Camille is super healthy and he doesn't have any gank set up from his top laner. In the meantime, mid lane is super healthy as well, so he's left with one single thing, which is void grabs. But I'm just saying that as a jungler you have to consider all these things, which is the most optimal play, or like which way is optimal, and have to consider if top is gankable, mid is gankable, and what's going on with void grabs. Like, if it's safe to take, then just go for the void grabs. Meanwhile, Lilia, honestly, I know that she has some time to get the scuttle and get Drake still, so she wanted to look for something, but instead of that gank on mid lane, or like more like just an attempt to gank mid lane, let's just go into the enemy jungle and see what's going on with the enemy jungle camp. See if the Raptors are up or not. It's super easy. Just check the Raptors. If the Raptors are up, nice, we are taking it. If not, at least we got the timer on the Raptors, so that's another good thing. Instead of trying to force things, you really don't have to. Just look for Raptors, for example, or just wait for the scuttle. Sometimes waiting is the best play. It might sound weird that, okay, you're wasting time and why would you waste time? But it's not like it's a time waste. You are just waiting for the right opportunity. I'm not saying that you should wait for the perfect opportunity, but you are waiting for an optimal play for that small opportunity, which will show, because those opportunities always show up on the map. Like, for example, if you just wait a little bit, check the enemy raptors, meanwhile Scuttle spawns. And taking Scuttle is obviously a good play, since there is no enemy around. And then, since there is a dragon as well, if you have the lane priority for it, then you can always just look to get the dragon as well. In the meantime, once again, Master Yi took the Void Grabs, so after he took the Void Grabs, you should be pinging that, okay, he most likely is taking my top side quadrant, but he even got spotted by a ward, so it's obvious, but at the lower ranks, people might not, or it's more likely they won't actually ward like this. And if they are not doing this, it's still totally fine. Even then, you still want to ping that, okay guys, Master Yi is most likely taking my top side quadrant. I want my mid laner to be aware of that. I want my top laner to be aware of that. And if Master Yi would be taking my bot side, I would still ping my bot lane and mid lane. Same thing. It's just the habit that you want to ping them and want to make sure that they know that, okay, Master Yi or any other jungler is most likely taking my jungle. So if they are being ganked or anything like that, they shouldn't be surprised. While we are taking these Krugs, we want to keep an eye on bot lane and see what's going on here, so we can look for a potential play. But as soon as Galio shows up, as soon as the third person shows up, it doesn't have to be Galio, it can be someone else, we want to get out. You don't want to go too deep and you don't want to force play, because you simply don't have to. By forcing plays, especially forcing bad plays, because if we look at health bars, we already can assume it will be a bad play. Ashe is below half mana, she just used her ult. Braum has no HP despite he has mana, but he's level 4, so he won't have ult. At this point, he's pretty much useless. Meanwhile, look at the enemy team. Galio is level 7. Sure, he used his ult, but that level 7 lead compared to your bot lane, especially compared to your support, it's a massive difference in stats and in strength. Senna is level 5, Misfortune is level 5, she's almost full HP, almost full mana as well. There's no chance on earth that you win this, because the enemy team is going to stat check you and you just lose it, right? So just get out and don't force these type of fights. In the meantime, look, you are just mirroring the enemy jungler, and that's why I'm saying that tracking the enemy jungler is pretty easy actually. Master Yi gank top, we wanted to gank mid bot lane, so we are just pretty much mirroring the jungle paths right now. Just get out. You have to farm your camps. Let's just get the camps, and then we can look for a potential recall unless there is a play opportunity on bot lane. Next, Master Yi will look to dive. Like, honestly, this is just a bad play from Lilia, because right now, if she just stays in the bush and waits this Master Yi would definitely wants to go for this dive. He easily could have bait Master Yi to go deep in and pretty much just clean up with Camille. Even if Camille dies. And the same play would have been achievable no matter what. Yeah, but it was a good play. But once again, a little bit of patience is super important. Keep farming your jungle camps, you made a great play. You almost executed it perfectly. At this scenario, Camille is ganking bot lane. Lissandra is the top laner. At this point, Lissandra is the top laner. Camille became the jungler because Camille is ganking. So, you as Lilia, or more like you as the jungler, you have one job. You now become the mid laner. And now you have to defend mid. You are supposed to play right now like if you were the laner and Camille was the jungler. And people are asking me this as well, that should they go for a kill here, or what they are supposed to do? Should they fight? Should they take the CS? Should they leave the CS? What should they do here? And the answer is actually really simple. If you can go for a kill, it's totally fine to go for a kill. But look, Galio is one level ahead of us. It's fair to say that he has slightly better items than we do. Like, sure, he mostly has defensive items, but it's a Galio. So he's really good against AP, any AP threat. We just want to secure the CS, we want to get the gold, and that's it. Nothing else. And after the town, just get out if you can. Just don't fight. Like, that W back is pretty much useless. Just get the CS and don't die. Sure, Camille helped us, but still, that was avoidable. And this was a really bad death. And then Camille died as well. Okay, she doesn't, but she was super close. And you just almost gave the enemy jungler 2 kills because you were too cocky. Like, just don't go for it. Just take the CS and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. And in the meantime, because you died, gave a kill to Master E, to the enemy jungler, now you are just giving up on the void grabs. And these are the second void grabs Master E will be taking. So, like, dying before an objective as a jungler is the worst thing you could do. Okay, so eventually your laners actually protected the void grabs and made it too dangerous for Master E to actually contest it. So at least for now, the void grabs are safe. But you are on bot lane, which is the right thing, because after we already cleared out top quadrant and made a good play on on top lane and defended the mid tower, we wanted to recall and get to bot lane anyway. If we would have been alive, we didn't die here, then we could walk mid, and if our laners, like how Lissandra and Braum rotated mid, we could have been taking these void grabs as well. That would be another opportunity for us in that case. But just trying to contest an objective randomly while we are not sure where the enemy jungler is a super bad idea, and you never want to do that. We want as many resources as possibly can as a jungler, especially as Lilia. And then the crucial part is we want to play around our ultimate. So we want to wait for our ult and make a play when our ult is up. So our Ashe is low on HP, the boy team is rotating, so eventually we're gonna trade objectives. And in this case, I would say generally you don't want to trade void grabs for Drake, but in this case I would say it's totally fine because the enemy team doesn't really have any split pusher. But generally speaking, it's better to trade at least 3 of the void grabs and get those. But obviously, we pretty much gave it to the enemy team after our death on the mid lane. That pretty much guaranteed that, okay, we're gonna lose the void grabs. Just keep this in mind, that getting Drake is fine if there are no other options for you. Generally speaking, you don't want to give all 6 void grabs to the enemy team, because if they have slightly better team comp, then they're gonna actually win the game. Or I mean, it's not guaranteed that they're gonna win the game, but it will give you a really hard time if someone can always look to split push. So you made a catch, and these are the plays I'm talking about. And pretty much this is your mid game. This is how your mid game looks. You are generally looking to farm, and whenever you have ult, you are looking for those opportunities which will always show up on the map, like the Galio being in a really bad position and you got him with a nice E and an ult, and the rest of the team was there. You're just gonna look to reward yourself with some extra camp, and since your top side quadrant is up and there are no objectives on the map, Drake is gone, white grabs are gone, the next objective you have to worry about is obviously the Drift Harad. But until then, since your ult is down as well, you can pretty much just look to farm your jungle camps and recall when you have enough gold for your item. During this time, your laners will look to farm as well, not because your ult is down, but they fought a fair amount, and because of that they want to farm a little bit as well. And these are the time windows where you can look to just farm and not make too many things on the map, because your team will look to play for the next objective, or like generally speaking, they not necessarily gonna look to force any fights in the meantime. Once again, your ult will be up soon, so if the rest of your team is here, then you can look for a fight. But once again, you don't want to force anything, but if there's a good opportunity, like you're able to land a nice E, someone from the enemy team engages too deeply, then you can look to punish them and then go all in and look to ult that person if it's an important person. Like for example, if there's just a useless support, then obviously you don't want to waste your ult on a single support, because that won't help you too much to win the fight. But for example, if it's a Misfortune, who is a huge threat in a team fight, then a melee carry is a really nice target. So is Master Yi, or usually the enemy mid laners as well. So in the meantime, top is fighting and your Camille died once again, and this is a fight you want to avoid, but look to catch the people who are alone and who are always staying on the map. Meanwhile, just reward yourself with some farming, like get the scuttle and see if they're gonna be able to get this kill. Once again, Lilia didn't do anything special. She just looked to get a free kill when the opportunity showed up, right? Galio overstayed after Camille died, and you managed to catch him. And after one more member died, now you can... Let's see what's going on mid lane. Lilia is going for this Rift Herald, but on the mid lane... Okay, they are not pushing this tower. If they would be pushing this mid tower, I would say that, okay, you don't want to get the Rift Herald and then just raid this tower. Instead, you should be looking to be around mid and defend mid. But even then, I would say that starting this Rift Herald is dangerous. But remember though that Lilia still has ult, right? If the enemy team is coming, you always want to turn. You don't want to finish Rift Herald, it's too healthy, and you always want to turn to either one, get out, or two, to actually land a nice E if it's possible and turn this fight around and fight the enemy team. If it's possible. If not, then just get out. It's totally fine and give up the objective. You can do it. It's not a game losing. People have this misconception in their mind that, okay, losing an objective will be game losing. No, what is game losing is if you lose the objective and then you just die for it as well, and your whole team dies, you lost the objective as well because it was a bad contest from your team. And that is game losing, not that you give up the objective. Because if you just survive and they are not using, let's say, Rift Herald properly, then it's not a big deal. Sure, they got some gold from the Rift Herald, but if they are not even able to get a Volt Tower with it, then it doesn't matter. Okay, Camille is TPing. Look to land a nice ult. Camille arrived, the opportunity is there to clean the enemy team up. Just look to kite, look for your Q stacks. and yeah, play it nicely. Like, there's not much to say here, besides you have to, like, it's super important that this concept applies to, or like this rule applies to Hecarim as well. Whenever there's a fight going on, or there's a fight coming, you always want to stack your Q. Same goes for Lilia, same goes for Hecarim as well. Like, sure, in this case, we already stacked our Q on Rifthrad before the fight. If we are not on a Rifthrad, not on a Dragon or anything like that, and we are just in the jungle, look to stack your Q on your jungle camp. And then you're always gonna look to guide your opponent from max range with your Q. Some auto attacks in between your spells, but generally speaking, this is like the basic I can tell you, and this is the basic I can even show you in the replay, but then you actually have to practice this and get better at this, and if you practice it enough, eventually you're gonna become better at this no matter what. You want to learn how big your Q range is, guide accordingly and stay within that distance with Lilia. Make sure that your opponent is at the edge of your Q, so you're able to land your Q on them while keeping distance, like the way she's doing it with the Herald right now. Obviously with Herald is somewhat easier because Herald is usually just standing still. Yeah, you have to learn how to kite properly with her and learn your Q distance. So after you get your Herald, then next objective will be the Dragon. So you want to recall and get there ASAP. Unfortunately, your ult is not up. So in this case, if you have to, just give up the Dragon. It's totally fine to give it up. Unfortunately, you can get there for smite, and you don't have ult, which is tough as well. But you turned around this fight. Somewhat, you managed to turn this fight around. And one more super important concept is to know when to get out. Like, for example, here, pretty much everyone dies from her team. Like, I can even slow this down to see how Lilia is trying to keep her distance and how she's fighting in this team fight. So here, right now, okay, my team died, Camille is not here, let's just look to get out. It's totally fine to get out here. It's more important that you actually survive than giving another death, or like giving your bounty, giving another kill to the enemy team. Like, sure, you might be thinking, okay, but they are really low, you might be able to go for this play, but you really don't have to. The objective is already gone, your team already died, so there's really no reason for you to go for such a play. Worst case, you die without killing this misfortune, and best case scenario, you get 2 kills, but sure, whatever. Why would I go for these gears, which will give me 600 gold, when I have my jungle cams up, there's a top scuttle up, there's my bot quadrant up, the top quadrant is up, so why would I go for this risky play, which is not guaranteed that I'm gonna get 600 gold. There's a high chance that I might even die, so why would I ever go for this play, right? Get your own jungle cams, look to farm your camps while your team is respawning. Then don't go for these type of plays either. Like, Misfortune is pretty strong. Like, Misfortune is ahead of our AD carry, and our jungle camps are up. Whenever your team is dead and they are not on the map, then this is your best chance to actually look to farm as many camps as possible. And of course, you should be taking minions as well when there's a minion wave up, which your laner isn't able to. The problem is with you wasting time on looking for these plays still here and looking for that misfortune gear is that now you are not on the map with your team at the same time. So what I mean by that is, look, Lilia has 1500 gold, while the rest of the team already spent their gold because they died. So now, at the next fight, you won't be as strong as the rest of your team because you haven't spent your gold. You might be ahead of Master Yi in terms of items, or like pretty even, but when the game is this close, like at this stage, your team is only leading with 800 gold, which is basically nothing, and you are by far the strongest member in your team. Like, sure, Camille has pretty much the same amount of gold as we do, but then if we look at the gold graph, we can see that, okay, Carlos is only 300 gold behind of Camille, which is basically nothing. Then we are ahead with 1000 gold compared to Master Yi, but then you have to keep that in mind that we are ahead technically by 1000 gold of Master Yi, but we also haven't spent 1500 gold. In terms of strength right now, before the reset, we have the same amount of items as Master Yi does. These small things that you haven't spent your extra 1000 gold, which is huge, can easily decide the outcome of the fight. So let's see how this fight goes. Camille managed to get a kill, but only traded the support. We are kiting with Lilia. Always keep your distance and always try to hit the closest target to you. You don't have to go for the backline. You can always just look to try and hit the closest member, the closest target. It was a pretty even fight, but the enemy team will be able to get this tower. Meanwhile, you're gonna be able to get this tower on top. So I would say just stay for this tower, get the gold, and then get out. You don't have to walk all the way up for this or anything like that. And now just recall. Like, you should already be recalling. You have 3000 gold. Like, this Galio kill won't be the difference maker. Like, this kill on Galio does not matter. Now you really want to recall. You have 3000 gold, so before the next objective, which is Atakan, you want to recall. And by going for this top wave and then not getting the gold from this tower, hitting Atakan, then walking all the way mid, I'm gonna stop the game and you're gonna see what's the problem with this play from Lilia, that she is delaying her recall by this much time. Now her team is actually fighting, but Lilia is the strongest member in her team. So if there's something going on and you are not here and something might go wrong and your team might easily die, sure, it doesn't look like it, like they fought really well, but they fought without you. And if they mess up and they die, and then you are not even there to try and fight with them when you are the strongest member. Like, sure, on paper, they are supposed to fight with you whenever you are there and not without you because you are the strongest member. Sure, that's obvious to you, and that's obvious concept that you want to fight with the strongest member, but that's not always the case because it's League, so people are not considering these things all the time. They might not be aware that you are not even there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are familiar with this and you experience this a lot, that a fight just breaks out, you are not there for some reason, and then your laner gonna be pinging that, okay, why are you not there? But they shouldn't have fought without you in the first place. I'm not saying it's their fault, it somewhat is their fault, but you are not perfect either, and with these recall timings you have to be aware of when you should be on the map and when you shouldn't be on the map, and act accordingly and recall at the right time, which I know can be hard, but with time you're gonna learn it and know what's up. And this is the reason why I want to highlight these things and make you aware of, because I see these type of mistakes, as you can see, even in Masters. So I'm pretty sure, I can pretty much guarantee you that you are making similar mistakes in your games in the lower ranks, and many more. Galio cannot do too much there. We were wasting time and playing with our food. Like, that's another thing you don't want to do. Just don't play with your food and just get your kill if you can. If not, then get out. As you witnessed as well, pretty much the last fight, Lilia was solo carrying it, and she was solo carrying it because she fought right after she spent all her gold, and she fought when she was as strong as possible with the amount of gold she had. So it was pretty much the perfect scenario for her to fight, and she fought at that moment. But she could have got to that point slightly sooner with the right recall timing. So enemy team will get Atakan, meanwhile your team is securing Drake. You could be there with your team to secure it. You don't really have to buy anything, or I mean, you can't really buy anything else anyway. Lurking around is pretty much pointless. Like, you really don't want to die for Atakan or like for any objectives, like I said, especially when there's a next objective coming up and there's another objective on the map, like in this case Baron. For your team to group with them, look for the fight for Baron Nashor. So this will be your next goal at this stage. So like I said this many times, you don't want to die for an objective. Like, the only objective I would say is worth dying for is probably Elder. If you know that Elder will help you win the fight and turn the game, then sure, you can go for it, but otherwise you pretty much never want to go for an objective and just die for it. Like, it's much better to just give up the objective, but I would say Elder is like the only exception, and sometimes I would even give up Elder and try to defend despite them having Elder, then face checking the wall enemy team. Wall enemy team is up. Again, since this is a Lilia thing that you want to stack your Q, you can look to stack your Q on Baron, but you are not looking to stay on it, taking more damage than necessary from the Baron Nashor. And I'm gonna slow down the fight for you guys once again, just to highlight how you are supposed to team fight with Lilia. Standing in that misfortune R, it really sucks, but yeah, let's see. Lilia once again goes for the mid wave just to keep up the stacks on her Q. The tower is bugged, so, or I mean the replay is bugged, so don't worry about that. Now, a nice wood, a huge wood. And Lilia wood is once again about patience. Like, you don't necessarily want to wait for the exactly perfect moment, because that might not happen, but you still want to look for an optimal ult. Like, let's say 2 to 3 people are staying really close to each other. You want to Q flash in, for example, or just land your E when it's possible. But if that opportunity does not show up, then you can just look to land it on one person. If that person is the enemy AD carry, or enemy hyper carry, enemy jungler, enemy mid laner, or even could be the enemy top laner, depends who is the strongest member. Ideally, if you can go for a 2 to 3 man ult, then go for it. If you can ult one person who is the strongest member, then go for it as well. It's totally fine to just ult one person in that case. So yeah, and this was the game. Like, you don't even need Baron at this point, because you just scored an ace. It's better to go for the end. You will have enough time for it. This was a pretty long VOD review, despite the game only being 27 minutes long. But I really wanted to make this as educational as possible, and I hope I managed to do that. If I did, then definitely like the video, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to join my Discord server, subscribe if you haven't already. I have free coaching and paid coaching on my Discord server. For new members, we have free coaching, and you can see all the reviews about my coaching on the server before you decide that you want to look for paid or free coaching. I definitely do coaching much cheaper than most people consider that, especially if you found this guide helpful for Lilia. Yeah, that's it from me. See you all in my next video.